My name is David Daniel Ball. This is from my Bread of Life Bible quote series. This is also from August History in a Year by the Conservative Voice. Sermon on a Miracle. We need to be humble because if we aren't, we miss the blessings He has given us. Because if we aren't, we don't hear His call. It isn't as if He is whispering softly, but when we are arrogant, we don't listen. There are physical limitations. He made the world, and those limits should be there. Of course, He will express His will by what is, sometimes. The story begins in Poland in the 1920s, a Jewish family in a land that was healing after World War I, and that had miraculously survived Soviet assault in the early 20s. A new world called a land of opportunity and hope, and this family decided to migrate. Only they couldn't afford to migrate at once. Two sisters were particularly close, and one, Anja, was picked to go abroad and prepare the way. In Poland, the family had raised money to send the next person. In the U.S., in Baltimore, Anja's life improved. She married a good man. Meanwhile, in Poland, the sister who remained also married a good man. Anja worked very hard and prospered, but he had it, so she did not have children. But the sister in Poland had children and was greatly blessed. Except World War II intervened. The two sisters had kept in touch by mail, but when World War II came about, the plans to send more family to the U.S. was interrupted, and no mail got sent. Following the war, fellow villagers reported to Anja that her family in Poland had all been eliminated. No survivors. And now, a well-off, middle-aged woman in Baltimore yearned for family and had none. Many people in such circumstances crumble and blame him. Anja may well have done so, but she also called out to him. She wanted family to raise for him, children that would know his name and call her mother. Family. She discussed it with her husband, and they agreed to adopt a Jewish baby. Many of the few survivors that were children were available for adoption, and so, negotiating with an agency in New York City, she and her husband set off to see who was available. They wanted a very young child or baby that they could raise in the manner of their people. Only, when they got to the agency, all the babies had been adopted, although there was an 8-year-old orphaned girl named Miriam. They discussed it, but they weren't for lots of children, and they wanted a baby. They went home in an empty car. A year later, they tried again. Lots of babies were available. They were told, and they made the long journey, only there were no babies left when they arrived. Only the now 9-year-old Miriam, and Miriam was connected with her younger brother. The agency would not let them be separated. They adopted both and made the journey home with a car that was not empty. He hears prayer. He heard her call for family, and he gave her one. Physical realities of the known universe being what they are, he delivered. And had she not been humble, she may never have allowed him to heal her wounds. But it isn't humble to limit him. He has made the world, and he can do whatever he pleases in his garden. When the family got home, the car doors opened, and baggage was removed. The door was opened, and inside, on display, were familiar pictures the couple had of their life together and loved ones. The little girl spotted them and cried out. What was wrong? Asked the adoptive mother. The girl asked why she had pictures of her babcia, indicating the sister's mother, and her own sister. Babcia means grandmother in Polish, and Anja was confused. Miriam went to her bags and came back with a picture, the exact one that was shown on display, because Miriam and her brother were actually nephew and niece to Anja. True family, blood from her blood. He had answered her prayer his way.